Anyway, this year we've never announced software before, but it was such a compelling story. Lost is going to actually release a tool that was inspired that somebody had to build to try to compete in one of his contests. So I don't know if you want to tell everybody about that before we get going. Yeah, why don't you?
Yeah, so as far as I know, this is the first time in an open ceremonies talk we're going to actually release a tool. And to be fair, Jeff and a lot of people tend to give me a lot of credit. There's a lot of people involved, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But a lot of what I do would never happen if it weren't for the support of a few people, such as Echan and Squizgar, my brother Clutch, well, I'll do shout-outs in a minute. Sorry, I don't mean to forget anyone. Jeremy and Jay and everybody else. Okay, welcome to DEF CON 24. You guys seem a little quiet. Welcome to DEF CON 24. So as we started talking about when I had my open letter of apology to those who I was trolling, I'd like to finish that letter with an announcement that I didn't even tell Jeff, and he's probably going to get mad at me for saying this. But I've decided, because next year is DEF CON 25, that for one last time, I'm going to run a mystery challenge. And then I'm going to put a nail in that coffin, and it's never going to be resurrected again. So that contest ran for 5 years. It inspired what spawned into the badge challenge. How many people here have actually competed in mystery challenge before? So a few. How many people are in the badge challenge stuff because you had read about the mystery challenge stuff? So there's a few. Mystery challenge tends to be a little more hardcore. It's a little more difficult. Badge challenge is meant to be accessible to everybody. But I'd like to tell a little story. And that story is about how the badge challenge inspired one young man to produce a tool, which we will be releasing here. Unfortunately, he is not able to be in attendance and gave me permission to release the tool vicariously in his stead. So DC19, a guy named Kevin Hoolan, who goes by Cryptok, who plays in the badge challenge, he decided he was going to compete and he was going to win the next year. And he joined a team, MLF, I think that's Muppet Liberation Front, I think is what that stands for. So Kevin noticed that on the back of the DEF CON 20 badge, for those of you who don't know, if you win a black badge competition at DEF CON, you get an Uber badge, which is free entrance into DEF CON for the rest of your life. But more than that, everyone always talks about that like it's some big thing. It's like, okay, so it's a couple $100 each year. Really, it's the prestige, because there's so few of these that given out. With the thousands of people that we have here, we'll give out 10, 12, maybe a year. Jeff makes that decision. But I like to do a little thing on all of the Uber badges every year. I place a cryptographic challenge to see, of the Uber people who receive these badges, who takes the time to try and break the crypto that's on the back of these each year. And I get about a 50% return. On the back of the DEF CON 20 badge is what most people would know as an OTP. Who knows what an OTP is? One-time pad. By many accounts, the only unbreakable cipher, technically, if you're handling the keys correctly and everything else. However, this was not an OTP. It was what is known as a running key cipher. And the difference between an OTP and running key is the fact that the key is a chosen text. For example, like the 5th chapter of a book, or a page in a magazine, or lyrics to a song. But the reason for that is it makes passing the key easy, because I can text Jeff and I can say, oh, just go open War and Peace and turn to this page, and then there's your key. But in so doing, because your key, your encryption text and the text you're trying to send are both from the same language, you've introduced a weakness into that cipher. And so Kevin went home and he started working on a tool to attack RKC, and that method is known as cribbing. Well, cribbing on this particular text, I actually tested for that. It doesn't really work. It's a real pain in the ass, and it doesn't produce good results. But Kevin took it a step further. He was just finishing his degree, I believe his master's, and he realized it wasn't good to just crib this, so he started doing natural language processing, the stuff you might see when you do predictive text, when you're typing, spell checkers, that kind of thing. And he started using an n-gram model to calculate probabilities based on the likelihood of events. For those of you who know what that's called, it's a 5th-order Markov assumption. So if you don't know what that is, I'd suggest you look it up, because it's interesting, and this is a HackerCon. So go look that up. So he took the hidden Markov chains in the Viterbi algorithm and figured out a way to, in software, do an attack against running key cipher. And it worked. That is the back of, this is the Uber badge from last year. And then that's the crypt text that was on the back of that. Now, Kevin and his guys had access to that. And here's a little side story that's fun for you. When I got on the plane to go home, Kevin happened to be on that same plane. And I was up at the front of the plane. He was sitting further back. And I saw him as we got on the plane, and he goes, I'll have that solved by the time we get to the ground. And I was like, there's no way, it's running key. He only has his laptop. He's not going to be able to use cloud or anything like that to crunch the cycles. And when we got off the plane, he walked over and he shook my hand, and he handed me a napkin from the airplane. I still have it. And on that napkin was written the solution. And he had solved it because of his software. And he has now given me permission to give you guys the first attempt at taking his code and improving it, using it. He is releasing a tool called the RKCC, the Running Key Crypto Cracker. And you can get it at that address up there right now. He'll have it up on his site eventually. And there's a beautiful write-up and blog post. But for me, this is the pinnacle of success for what I try to do with the Badge Challenge, is to try and make people learn and grow. And now we have a new tool out of it. So there you go. Give him a hand, even though he's not here.